Thanks again, Jaelynn, for hopping on to another episode of Untapped Stories. I know we're chatting a bit before show, and you've been an AU coach for a long time, but I guess to set the table for the audience who's listening, parents and young athletes, maybe if you could take us back to your early days before you became a coach, before you played high-level hoops in college. We love asking this question. What did youth sports mean to you, and how did your early days of playing kind of shape the player and coach you wound up becoming?
Oh man, I played a bunch of basketball growing up. I hung tough with my older brother, and he played basketball with all his friends. So I guess it kind of started with him and like going to the park with him, wanting to play with them. I'm obviously way too small to play with the boys, but just wanted to go out there and just compete. It was my older brother. I just hung tight with him. Fell in love with basketball really young. I would say probably age around 5. I knew basketball was like a really fun sport for me. I think my parents just put me in like church leagues, youth leagues, things like that, trying to just get experience under the belt. But I would say probably 8th grade is when I really took it super seriously. Like, I'm gonna take this serious and go hard and try to be like one of the best in the cities at the time. Which in 8th grade I was in Louisville, Kentucky. Man, I would say just having the experience of a lot of different coaches, playing on different teams, and honestly, I found my core group of girls. So when I first moved to Louisville, I played with 4 other girls at the time, like just brand new. We didn't know each other. And we honestly ended up going to high school together, winning state championships together. So we built that bond super, super young. And I'm lucky to have that. And it kind of just went up from there. Yeah. A lot of success with that group.
For that group of girls, was that just kind of lucky, or did you guys all find like a similar travel team and you knew you were good players, so you kind of joined up, maybe like the LeBron
I
era
think
of
that was
like
extremely
dominating?
lucky. Yeah. I think it was extremely rare circumstance that we still talk about to this day. Like, just how fortunate we were to find each other and stay together and want to stay together, throughout all those years.
What about any? Because we've heard a lot of high level athletes say that other sports wound up shaping the main sport they
Mm.
excelled in. Did you play any other sports growing up, or were you just a hooper 24/7?
Mainly just basketball. I played a little bit of soccer. I was like 7 or 6 years old, so I don't really count that. And then I did a track back like my 8th grade year, but basketball was the main thing for me.
Well, I guess maybe one more question on that, because it comes up. We've probably done, I don't know, 20 interviews so far with like high level athletes who have played college, pro. It seems like a lot of them talk about the early stages and what they see for young athletes now, like trying to help them when they coach, avoiding burnout, avoiding overusage. It sounds like that didn't happen to you if you were just a hooper from essentially day one. I guess for people who want to take that route, and parents and athletes who know that like they love one sport,
Yeah.
they understand that maybe multiple sports can help, but like they're dedicated just to baseball, soccer, or basketball. How did you stay like focused on basketball and not, avoid the typical trap of wind up hating the sport because you played so much and you probably trained, I'm sure, all year round?
Yeah. Honestly, I just really loved it. Like, it really came from the love of the sport when I was young, and that love really helped me later on when things get really, really hard. Like the college level, the pro level, like you're really tested as in how much do you really love the sport. But I really had just no interest. I would say like if I did, I think my parents would allow me to explore different sports and be able to
Hmm.
explore different avenues. But I just really just wanted to play basketball, honestly. And I did experience burnout in high school just from going really hard at basketball. Like I would wake up at like 5 o'clock a.m., go lift before school, come home, take a shower. And I was car riders with my little brother at the time. So our mom would just take us to school before I knew how to drive. So I would rush home, shower, be ready by the time my mom needed to get us out the door so she can drop us off and go to work. And then go to school, go to basketball practice after school. And I remember my high school coach at the time was like, you have to stop this. Like he was, you can't do this anymore. And that was like my first, I think, experience of burnout and not really realizing it at the time. But I was just going really, really hard. I was just super, super dedicated. And it came from the people around me, but mostly just my inner drive to just want to be, one of the best in the States, honestly. I just really love it.
I mean, I love that story because we've heard from so many people that nowadays, especially with all the data out there, they try to avoid kids playing one sport. But I always kind of boil it down to whatever the kid
Yeah.
wants. Like if the kid is kind of like you, if they love hoops and they don't want to show an interest, they don't have an interest in soccer, lacrosse, whatever, cool. Like keep playing basketball. But if the athlete at that point says anything about overusage, being too tired, not interested, maybe then it's a good point to switch. But if you love it and you have that passion for it, why not pursue it? And it sounds like obviously it worked out for you. So
I agree.
cool. I guess maybe moving into like your college years. Now, you had a really decorated college career. So for young athletes out there who maybe want to follow in your footsteps, I'm sure it's hard to get to the exact spot you were in. But people who want to play in college, play at a high level, what was the recruiting process like for you? And then when you actually got to college,
Yeah.
was it everything you dreamed of, or what was the reality more like when you were there?
Oh, that's a good question. I hated the recruiting process when I was young. I'm very soft-spoken, as you can probably tell. Really introverted. Really was very, very shy. More shy when I was a kid. So talking to different people and being on the phone and having to like go different states and meet at the colleges was not like a big thing for me. It gave me a lot of anxiety. So I avoided it a lot. Like I used to give coaches my parents' phone numbers, not mine. Unless I like, you really, really want to talk to this coach, then you like slide them phone number. But I did not enjoy it. And it was a little different, I think, when I was coming up than kids now with just social media. It was a little bit overwhelming, I would say, for me, all the attention that I was getting at the time. So I really am grateful for my parents and my coaches for kind of being mediator and all that, and kind of, I guess, strategizing and making that easier for me because they knew how I was as a person. I just wasn't a talkative, extroverted person. Nonetheless, I did enjoy some parts, like going to see the campuses and meeting people. It was enjoyable, especially schools that you really want to go to. Getting invited to football games and games. It definitely was fun experiences in the recruiting process. It wasn't all bad. I was just really shy. I would say the transition from high school to college, it was definitely what I thought it would be. I was nervous going into it just because you're going at a new level, a higher level that you've never been to before. So you're obviously going to have growing pains and just a level of, or a learning curve, from being freshmen and playing with people who have been here 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. You know what I'm saying? It was as hard as I thought it was going to be physical wise. I think the biggest adjustment for me was mentally how tough it was. And that's something that I've definitely learned and try to relate to kids I talk to now, just the mental side of sports. And the mental aspect of being an athlete, really understanding that, because everybody prepares physically to go to the next level. It's faster, it's stronger, but preparing mentally, I had no idea at the time. And I really didn't learn that until really late. I would say my last year of college is when it really like clicked for me.
What about, that's actually really interesting, because we've had a couple of mental performance coaches on basketball, swimming, soccer. It seems like a lot of high-level athletes, when you get to that point of the pyramid, like, you can only improve your physical abilities and your skills so much. It seems like the difference for most people, it comes down to the mental side of the game. But maybe flipping that, I think when you're there, it's a big deal. How do you get that point across to young athletes and parents listening that the mental side of the game is almost, if not just as important as the physical side? And what can they do when you're young, maybe elementary, middle school, high school, to really focus on that and make it a strength and not a negative?
When I talk to parents and kids, I try to lay it out as it being like a performance advantage of being just mentally tough. I feel like that's a buzzword in like sports, being mentally tough. But I think just being aware like of how much the game is mental, how much sports is actually mental. I would argue it's like 70 to 80%. Like it's because you can be the most skilled, most talented, the smartest person out there on the court, on the field, whatever sport that you're playing. But if your mental is not the best, if you can't handle the pressure, if you don't see yourself as really good, if you don't have the emotional intelligence, you're not going to perform. It's like, how do you respond to adversity? How do you respond to when you're doing something really well? I feel it works both ways. Like everyone thinks mental toughness is just being able to get through adversity, being able to perform when things are going bad for you. But it's also like being able to think and still perform next play speed when you make like a super big shot. Like both emotions can be overwhelming. They're really high and they're really lows. So I think having the mental is being able to just stay in the middle, and be neutral in that way. Because adversity is going to come. That's a given. You're going to go through some things in life and as athletes on the court, on the field, in sports. So it's just really understanding that piece. It separates you. It separates the good from the great. And just selling that to them, like this is a separator. Like this is going to enhance your performance times 10.
And maybe for athletes who don't work with a mental performance coach, maybe they work with a basketball trainer or their team coach, but they know that's a really important piece to the game. Mm-hmm. What's maybe one tip or one drill or one practice an athlete can do while training that focuses on the mental side of the game to help them prepare for that when that adversity ultimately comes, like you said?
I would say how to respond to when you're having like not so good workouts. when you feel like you can't make a shot or you're losing the ball a lot, your response to that. And that was something I had to learn early on too, because I was super hard on myself, just really ambitious. So I wanted to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist even to this day, and it comes with its flaws. Like it's good, but it does come with its cons. So that's something I see with kids a lot today, just how they respond and how they see themselves after, they're struggling with this drill, or they're struggling finishing this type of, just anything in that. Like still taking a deep breath, controlling your emotions. We're going to feel emotions, we're human, but we don't want to be emotional. So I tell them usually when you get fired up and you start getting mad, it's just a snowball effect. Like now you
Yep.
really can't make a shot. And now you're really messing up the drill and the footwork. Like you feel like you can't do nothing right. So it's practicing in those moments when it's just you and your trainer or you and your parent or just you by yourself in the gym, literally, that practice, any scenario, because it's going to translate over to the game. Progression over perfection and learning to respond to those times in those small moments.
I mean, I think setbacks in adversity, it's going to happen, like you said, to every single athlete. I know you faced some injuries during your career. What can you say to athletes who are maybe going through a tough injury right now? And how do they, obviously working through PT is a big thing, but how do they mentally stay sharp when you're out for a significant amount of time and all you want to do is, come back and play?
That was a tough one. That was definitely something tough for me in my career, just going through injury and navigating that. To still do your duty as a teammate, still be there, for your team, but also you still have a duty as an athlete to get back. So whether that's, like you mentioned, like doing your rehab, taking all the detail oriented, all the, I guess, effort that you would exert on the court while you're performing and putting it into your rehab. It's very tedious work, but if you change that mindset, it's like, this is now what I'm giving my energy to, it makes it a little bit easier. I think also just staying mentally sharp, watching a lot of film, still being part of discussions, still observing on the court and watching. You're on the outside now if you're like watching your team play, so now you can give like little feedback. It's different watching from outside when you're in it, now you can start helping your teammates and talking to your coaches more, even getting extra film in with the coaches, just little things like that. You still staying mentally sharp, also still seeing your value. You still have value even though you're injured and that you don't play. Your value didn't just disappear, just because you can't play. I think it's a big thing too, mental wise, of just staying in that space.
That's a good point. I mean, you're not a ghost. I think some people, when they think they get hurt,
Yeah.
season-ending injury, they're out. They're no longer. They probably feel like they're no longer a part of the team. But you have to do what you have to do to kind of stay involved, and that way, it's going to help you when you come back too,
Exactly.
because you know what's happening. You know where the team's at that point if you are lucky enough to come back during the season. So that's really cool. So I guess maybe flipping it. Awesome career, Gatorade Player of the Year, played high-level hoops at like two super well-known schools. But beyond playing, what wound up getting you into coaching now? I know, again, we talked a bit before the show. You spend a lot of your time now training young athletes, and you're kind of in the know for for hoops lessons nowadays. But like, what gave you the spark to become a coach after you got done playing?
Honestly, a lot of people would tell me you'd be a great coach. Like I never really wanted to.
Confidence helps.
Yes, it does. I never really aspired to be a coach. I still to this day feel like I still have like some play left in me. I'm still thinking about playing somewhere somehow. I'm working on getting healthy, but it's still that fire in me. But ultimately, I've always wanted to help people. It's always been something I just wanted to do. I believe that coaching is the avenue for me to do that. Playing at a high level, having the experiences that I've had, and dealing with the challenges that I did have is my way of helping young athletes be prepared and not go through what I went through. Exemplifying that you can really be successful, really have this amazing career, play these amazing schools, and still really, really struggle mentally. So that's something that's really like dear to my heart, is helping kids mentally through the sport. Mental health, is a big topic nowadays, but I'm really, really passionate about it because it affected me extremely, in college and even in high school, but I didn't really understand it at the time, what I was feeling. So in college, how I really struggled with just my self-confidence and my worth, and making the mistake of tying that to my performance and to my sport. And there's just two different things. They're not on the same spectrum at all. And when I understood that was that was at UCLA. When I really understood that, it like was a light bulb in my head. So that's something that I feel like I can give back now. Not only teaching the game and, teaching what it takes and knowing what it takes, but helping kids not go through mentally what I went through. I think is a big, big part of my purpose in some way. And right now, coaching is an avenue to do so.
That's really cool. We have a lot of former athletes say the same thing. I think a lot of them they love it, but they're not ready to jump full time into like college coaching or high school coaching. So giving lessons, working one-on-one or small groups with kids, it's a lot of time. But it's a really good like direct way to work with athletes, because you make an impact on one kid's life, a couple kids' life through every lesson. So I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing. I guess thinking back maybe to some of your playing days, who were maybe some of the coaches, coaches, teammates, leaders probably more in particular, that helped shape the player you became, and what lessons did you learn from them that you ultimately maybe still teach to young athletes today?
I've been blessed growing up. There's a lot of people that come to mind when I think of people that have really impacted me. Definitely my senior Danielle. Her name is Danielle Lawrence at high school at Butler. I was a freshman, she was a senior. She really showed me the ropes of just hard work. She really gave me that tough love of expecting a lot out of me on the court, and me being able to deal with that, being, 14, 15 years old as a freshman. And she really shaped my work ethic, I think, and how I viewed leadership in high school. My high school coach, super good coach. She basically ran practices like a college team. It was really detail oriented. So I got it helped me immensely with my transition from high school to college, just how he ran things, the way he expected from us, and some of the things that we did in practice. Our practice was structured. I think I had a little bit of advantage coming in as a freshman, going to the next level. Lastly, I would just say the coaches at UCLA, the whole staff, Coach Corey, Coach Tasha, Coach Shannon, Coach Tony, literally the whole staff. I could even say the support staff at UCLA, but they really, really, really saved me, because when I was talking earlier about me tying my worth to my performance, that was something that I really struggled with prior to transferring to UCLA. We used to have a notebook that we would write in before or after practices, and at the top we'd have to write, my value comes from who I am, not what I do. Every day is opportunity for me to learn and grow. But that first part of that quote, like, my value comes from who I am, not what I do, that was something I desperately needed to hear at the time. I thought it was life-saving, and I've told this story to them plenty of times and so many different recruits while being at UCLA, but it was like a light bulb went off, like, wait, really? Like, these two gonna go hand in hand? And
I'm not just a basketball player.
Yeah, like, that was hard, just tying my identity to me being a basketball player. And that was hard with me dealing with injuries like we talked about prior, and I'm not performing well, then I must be a terrible person, and it's just not true. So that's something that when I have the opportunity to talk to kids, to talk to teams, I'm like, if you don't remember anything else I said today, just remember where your value comes from. Like, it's about who you are, how you impact people around you, whether it's your friends, your teachers, or your neighbors or strangers. Like, that is who you are, and your value does not increase or decrease depending on what happens in between these lines on this court. It's just two separate things. So that really, 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 really saved me, for sure.
We've heard from some other, and I didn't plan to ask this one, but now that we're on it, we've heard from other high-level athletes that, I think it was a swimmer at UVA that I'm thinking of in particular, they had a particular like mental performance trainer or a couple people on staff. Did anyone, either at Indiana or UCLA, did you guys have like those types of people on staff to help you with that, or was it just coaches that were talking to you, having you guys write, every day in the notebook, my value is who I am, not how I play?
Yeah, it was mostly our coaches. Our assistant coach at UCLA, Coach Tasha, she was like our mind gym coach. She really took that on. But I would say we also would have guest speakers a lot. We would have guest speakers come in, either they're Hall of Fame coaches or coaches that just won championships talk to us. I guess motivational speakers would come talk to us. We did have a performance coach at UCLA. His name was Colin, but we would only see him maybe, I can't remember the frequency, maybe twice a month.
Okay.
I want to say, best guess. But mostly it was just our assistant coach really taking that on, and we used to do that every day before practice. So it was a big deal embedded into the program at UCLA. No matter if we won, lost, bad game, great game, that was always ingrained into what we did before film.
That's really cool. I feel like for parents and athletes who maybe don't have access to those level of coaching, if they can at least hear that message. Again, not everyone's going to play at UCLA and have coaches who know that, but it seems like, and we're just seeing this trend more and more with all these interviews we're doing, the higher you get in sports, just the more of a focus there is on the mental side, whether it's you actually have an NPC person on staff or it's one of your coaches who just knows the value of it. But it's no coincidence that people at the best programs in the country, they're doing the simplest things. Again, writing in a notebook every day before practice, but that stuff does matter. And it maybe as a former athlete, if you got to that level but didn't do that, I'm thinking of the the reverse of it. could come off as cheesy, like why is Jaelynn writing in her notebook every day before practice? But like the success is there with it. And again, you went from that player in Indiana who was probably focused just on their life as hoops, and like you said, that light bulb switched to when you were at UCLA, and that's really cool because of a simple tactic that I think would go a long way for any young athlete if they wanted to picking up on that habit. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Maybe flipping to the parent side. So it sounds like you had a lot of great coaches. You've obviously had a good career, and now you're like training in the Louisville area, doing a lot of lessons. When you talk to parents, what's one trend that you're seeing now with parents? And maybe it's different than when we were growing up, but what should parents be watching out for when raising young athletes today? And how can you help them navigate like pressures and setbacks and even social media? Because again, it's such a different world today for young kids. But what would your message be to parents with young athletes who are trying to make it in sports?
The biggest thing is what the social media part, I think, now with these kids. I think I see a lot of comparison. It's easy to fall into today's times. Like, we just see a lot, and we're able to see random people like on our phones and how well they're doing and the success that they're having. So I think as a parent, you're able to help your kid with that, mediate that, for lack of better terms. Not have them on social media a lot, not letting them see a lot. Because honestly, that's what helped me. Like, social media is bigger now than when it was when I was coming up, but social media was still a thing when I was young. And I did not have Instagram or anything like that in high school. I had Snapchat, but I didn't have any social media until college. And that was just it was my decision. I was just really quiet, laid back kid. But I don't think you'd have to go to the extreme of not having anything now. But I think just regulating it, that's the word I was looking for. The parent can regulate it for the child and make sure they're not like internally battling or internally getting to themselves about seeing other people and how well they're doing. Just understanding that everybody has their own journey. Just because this person's doing good at this age doesn't mean you're necessarily behind. It's just you're going through your own journey. And we see many inspirational stories about people who don't take the normal path or the path that they think to greatness and still be great, like Steph Curry, John Morant. Like, just top examples that come off the top of my head. Like there's many of success stories that don't follow that classic path.
And we've seen that so much with all the athletes that come through. That's probably parents' number one concern today is social media usage. And it's not even the high level athletes. I think when we see it, sure, you can watch a LeBron clip or like a Steph clip, but like everybody knows they're top level NBA players. So if you compare yourselves to them, like fine. But I think it really comes down to comparing yourself to your own peers. Because a lot of times now, high school kids, low level college kids, they all have highlight tapes, and you're, of course, which is fair, only showing the best clips on social media. But when you're the other athlete seeing that, and you had a bad day or a bad game, and you hop on, and your rival from the high school down the street, they're killing it. They had a 30-point game, and you had a terrible game. It's like that puts you in a bad spot. So I'd say even like during the season, maybe really limit social media, kind of get out of your own head, just play. If you have it in the off season, whatever. But there are things I think parents can do nowadays to help kids, just point them in a better direction. And you can't avoid it, like you said. You can't tell a kid. I mean, I have 2 kids, so maybe I'm speaking as a parent, not myself. But like when they get older, you can't just say never look at Facebook, never look at Instagram. Even if their friends are going to have it, like it's going to be around. But like helping them navigate it properly so they can use it for use the benefits and get the good out of it, but at the same time, don't get swallowed in it because, it's scary if you wind up, doing that as a young athlete. You're, I think, really going to crush your self-confidence.
And like you said, it's highly edited. Like, we're only seeing the highlights. It's not even really real. Social media is not real life. So players can look really, really good on Instagram, and then you see them in person, you're like, oh, it's not what I thought you were based off these highlights that I was watching. So just also understanding that, like, nobody posts their struggles. No one posts their mess ups, their turnovers. So that's a good thing too.
We should start an account, just like the turnover account, like every bad play, and just give kids like, okay, there are good players who make really big mistakes and they learn from it.
It's how you respond to those after. Yes. Literally.
And what about when you're actually training? What's one particular tip or one habit that if you could go back in time, maybe you're 4th, 5th grade, Jaelynn, before you got to be really good as an 8th grader, what's one thing you would tell every athlete who's coming up to focus on in their game, like game specific, whether it's a simple ball handling drill or just like do 10 minutes a day of hard pounds, or like always get your form shots in? What's one thing every hooper should be working on when they're young?
And those are good too that you said. I think me being a trainer now, I see that a lot of kids struggle with their footwork. Okay. So I think that would be something that I would do as a young person. I honestly did it and didn't really realize I was doing it. I used to work out with the football players. Coach G, shout out to Coach G, also one of my significant people in life at Butler High School, who just showed me the ropes, and he would be the one that would take me to the lift at 5 a.m. before school. So he was really pivotal in my life.
Dang.
But we would do a lot of like ladder stuff on the football field, parachutes, box jumps. So it's like with plyometrics and footwork and coordination that really translated well for me growing up. But definitely your footwork. Your footwork is a basis for a ton. Shooting quickly, being able to do your ball handling. Everybody thinks ball handling is just ball control, which it's a part of it, but it's being able to also move out of those moves and have the footwork to get past your defender. Footwork to finish at the basket, finishing off 2 feet, finishing off 1, different feet, shooting off of both feet. Like it encapsulates everything that you do on the court. So definitely your footwork, your coordination, learning how to jump rope. A lot of kids don't know how to jump rope, and I'm like, what? You can't jump rope? Like, okay. That's something we just did outside for fun. So it wasn't like something I had to learn, but but today I guess it's a little different with social media and video games and everything, but definitely your coordination and footwork, I would say.
I can remember my dad played college football. He would always say, doesn't matter how old you are, jump rope, push-ups, sit-ups. It's like if you can do those 3 things, you'll be a well-rounded athlete. But I feel like I've even seen that, kids that I would train. I used to bring a jump rope, and I would say first lesson how long they could go. The amount of kids that would like one flip trip. I'm like, guys, y'all are in like 7th, 8th grade. Like you got to be able to do a little bit of jump rope here.
Yeah, like the jump rope people used to come to our school. Do you remember that when we were young?
Yeah.
They used to perform at our school for us. Like that was a thing. Like just knowing how to jump rope. It's crazy.
And even back then, like I wasn't thinking like, oh man, this can definitely be a super like good athlete or jump high, but it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the more, and I'm kind of a fan of this. The more technology, the more data we have, all that stuff is really cool. And it's helpful in a lot of ways, but you can simplify things for kids. Like good footwork doesn't mean you have to go to like a specific, strength and speed gym that teaches this one thing. Like grab a jump rope, grab a ladder, like you did. Go to your local high school football field at 5 a.m, do drills, run parachutes, run sprints, and you're going to be a better athlete. You don't have to overcomplicate it.
It's a good point.
What about, maybe one of my last questions. So you've had an awesome career, awesome coaching career now too. And it sounds like you maybe still want to play. So when it's all said and done, you look ahead like 30, 40 years. If I had to guess, you're probably, just based on, it sounds like the awesome person you are, you're probably going to stay involved with hoops somehow, some way. What's the legacy you'd want to leave in basketball? Is it awesome trainer, helping a lot of kids get to the college level? Would you want to wind up, like, again, playing again and maybe making that like a bigger part of your pro career, or even coaching college pro one day? Where do you see yourself going? And again, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
I really think I'm going to move into the psychology of sports in some way, the mental side. I mentioned my coach at UCLA, Coach Tasha, and even Coach Shannon. They were just really big mentors for us as people, as women, and then as an athlete after that. So understanding the importance that you're a person first, and we're mentoring you as Jaelynn, the individual, the person. And then also we're your coach. So now we're going to help you on the court and make sure that you have any, performance advantage that we can get, because we are here to win and we are here to do good, but understanding your value as a person. So I would say just mentorship and impacting the youth in that way. They really was great examples for me and impacted my life so much. Really the whole staff at UCLA, but definitely those two, just handling the mentorship and handling the mental side. And shout out to Coach Corey for even allowing them to do that. It's her program ultimately, and she's going to run it how she wants to. The mental side of sports, teaching kids how to navigate that, letting them understand their worth and impacting them in that way. And then still being an inspiration too, of having my own story and sharing that with them. And I think experiences speak for themselves. Most kids look at me and they're like, oh, you played at Indiana, you played at UCLA. And it's like, oh, cool. And it's like, yes, you too can get to this level, but this is what it takes, and this is what I went through, and this is how you can maybe not go through what I went through. And you can even be better than me. Like, that's the goal, is to always improve. The game is evolving so much, so these kids are already better than me than I was at that age, at the age of 13, 14, 15. They're doing stuff I was not doing. So definitely being just a mentor in that, and get into that mental space and psychology of sports and understanding how to help that with the youth, for sure.
We had we could talk a little bit after the show too, but we had a mental performance coach on the other day. She played at Iowa State. She said really similar things, and she made an awesome career out of it. Her name is Lindsay Wilson. She And she had like a specific mental performance coach in high school. Do you know Lindsay?
I believe so. Yes. I believe so.
I think when you get to
I
that
believe so.
level in college basketball or pro, like everyone probably, if you don't know them, you probably know someone who knows them or played
Yeah.
against them. But she's awesome, and she built a career around it. So it sounds like you're on a similar path. But I love that though. I feel like there's so much knowledge out there, and the game has really changed. It's not just skills and drills anymore. The mental side is a huge part of it. So I think the earlier young athletes recognize that. And I love what you mentioned there too about having a kid chase to where you went, but telling them they could become better. I think there's a
Yeah.
big misconception because back in the day when I was growing up, I'm sure same with you. Anytime you'd walk into a gym, a coach, camp, whatever it is, would always tell the stat. I heard it a million times. Like the statistics say that none of you will become a pro basketball player.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. Why would you say that? One and two, like, I actually did, so I was the one kid. But it's like that stuff can happen. But
You can.
to shoot it down so early for a kid, I think being realistic though, it's like, hey, not everyone in this gym is going to become LeBron James, but if you work
Right.
towards playing where you want to go to, even if you don't get to the pinnacle, if you're not, Gatorade Player of the Year playing at UCLA, I think what Lindsay mentioned, and I've taken this to heart since talking to her, no matter how far you go, it's the person you become along the way that makes the difference. Like you're gonna become a better human, a better teammate, a better one day, husband, father, wife, whatever it is, like because you went through that process. So take the chance, shoot for it. Don't just think that because you're not an amazing middle schooler or an amazing high schooler that you can't get to that level. Plenty of people have had late blooms. Plenty of people have peaked too early. So it's like, I don't know. I just don't love the idea of coaches walking into gyms now and telling kids like they can't do something. Again, be realistic. Not everyone here is going to be an all-pro NBA player, but it's like let them chase their dreams while they're still young. And if they do and they don't get there, again, they're going to fall a little bit short, but still be a better person for it. So it sounds like you have that mindset. I think if you can, like, if more coaches like you can get in front of young kids, I think the next generation would be a lot better off, especially in today's social media age where all they want to do is be perfect. It's just, there's a lot going on, but the message has to get out there.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's really cool.
100%.
What about maybe the last thing, Jaelynn? So any parent and young athlete who wants to train with you, get on the court with you, I guess what should they know? What are you up to nowadays and how can they get in touch?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning into maybe starting my playing again. One reason why I came back home and even decided to get into training was because I wasn't healthy. I hurt my Achilles in Germany, the last place I played. Tendonitis in my Achilles, and it's just super tedious injury that I'm trying to get away from, and it just keeps coming back. But I think once I get a handle on that, I'm gonna try to just play again. Just play as long as I can. So I don't know if that's tricky. If you want to come train with me, I would say just keep in touch. Follow me on social media. You can always see what I'm doing. I'm not super active on social media, but I'm not super ghost at the same time. So you'll be able to kind of see, and then you can always DM me, and I check those every once in a while, my requests, and just kind of see where I am. You can say, you saw me on this interview, or you saw me here, shoot 60, or anything, and 9 times out of 10, I'll respond to messages like that.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Hopefully people, well, if they can train with you, awesome. But hopefully people wind up following you and then watch your career have a resurgence once you get healthy, whether it's overseas, WNBA, who knows. But honestly, wishing nothing but the best for you. Your feedback was awesome here. I can't wait to share this one for parents and young athletes. You gave a lot of really good tips. So thanks again for hopping on today, Jaelynn. It was truly a ton of fun.
Thank you for having me. This was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.